I'd like to thank you personally for allowing us to come into the privacy of your homes as we share the inspirations of Grace in Motion. I would also like to say that our objective is to highlight the Christian hero, also to enjoy our gospel showcase, and to dwell into and broach some of the deepest subject matters in our communities at our community meeting. We would like to ask if there's anyone that you may know whose story, whose life can be shared with our community, and to be a blessing to them as well, please let us know. And also, if there's a subject matter that you'd like to hear more about that's going on in our communities, please contact us. Contact us at 770-256-8764, 770-256-8764. Again, we thank you, and please continue to pray for God's grace in motion. Hello, once again, welcome to Grace in Motion Ministries. I'm Charles Womack, and I am your host. We want to once again thank you for allowing us into the privacy of your homes. We know, as always share, you can be doing anything. You can change channels, but you have been patient, you have been considerate, you have been a blessing, and again, we thank you. Again, we're forever considering what God has given to us, and that's why we represent Grace in Motion. Now, we believe that God wants us to break down a number of concepts as our ministry to you. Of course, we know a number of them consist of Christian heroes and community concerns and inspirational showcases and athletes for Christ. But today, we're going to focus on a very significant aspect. It's kind of a two-in-one fold presentation. We have with us today a Christian hero, and we're going to be addressing community concerns. Now, this particular subject matter means so much to me. One, because I have the opportunity to go out and participate in this field or in this concept. You should be very interested in it as well, simply because it affects not just you, it affects everyone that has come through the doors of the teacher that we're going to communicate with today. And that is dealing with the educational process in our community. Now, I'd like to introduce you to our guest. First of all, our guest is not a rookie in the field, mind you. She has been a professional educator for over 23 years. So in other words, she's seen it all. She's seen the transformations over the period of years. And you know, there have been some. There have been rules that have been put in and taken out. And truly, she may not have agreed with them all, but she did not leave her post of duty. Now, I'd like to introduce you to our great Christian hero as we discuss some of the most significant subject matter in reference to the education in our school system. At this time, with no further ado, I introduce you to our Christian hero dealing with community concern, Mrs. Gloria Reddic, and she is a school teacher at Veterans Memorial Middle School. At this time, it is a pleasure. How are you?
I'm doing just fine. A little bit weary with the pollen, but
okay.
Other than that, just great.
Well, we want to first of all thank you for coming out today. We know that you have fitted this into a very busy schedule, and we thank you for that. Now,
Sure.
I'd like to first of all get this interview going with a very significant question, simply because we all want to know what makes a teacher who can dedicate her life over 23 years and did not leave the field like so many of us may have. We want to know a little bit about, one, why did you, or first of all, when did you decide that education would be your lifelong vocation? One, two, what was your inspiration, and was there ever any other arenas that you considered, please?
Well, actually, I wanted to be an astronomer.
Okay.
I've always been fascinated with the heavens, and I could just see myself looking through that big telescope and discovering new planets and whatever, and maybe someday even to go there. However, as I began to grow as a Christian, I really believe to this day God chose it for me. I didn't really choose it. When I was in the 4th grade, I had a teacher, Mrs. Graffel, and I thought the greatest honor was that she allowed me to come to school 20 minutes early to wash the board, dust the erasers.
Right, that was special.
And that just made me feel so good. And I'll tell you, I never asked her a question that she didn't know the answer, or where to send me to a book or dictionary to find the answer. And I just thought teachers were just super. They knew everything. And I am a lifelong learner. And if you're a lifelong learner, there are times when actually someone gives you a piece of information that you didn't have, and it just makes you feel like, wow, I learned something today. In spite of the gray hair, I'm still learning things today.
Absolutely. So. Now, of course, let me ask you, now, Ms. Reddic, I know oftentimes there have been persons in my life. I know for me, I began playing sports because, you know, there were athletes around me. Were there ever any teachers in your family? If not, who was that person that you just really, was it that 4th grade teacher that said to you that, this is what I want to do from now on? Or were there a number of other persons that influenced you as well?
It was always my teachers. I am the first high school graduate, the first college graduate in my family. My teachers, I was blessed. I had wonderful teachers. And I always wanted to be teacher's pet. So I wanted to be an A student so they could be proud of me. I wanted to remember everything they told me so that I could give it back to them and let them see somebody got it, you know. And so actually I think it was my teachers and of course my mother. My mother worked in a factory. I was raised in New York City. And we lived in the basement of an apartment building. And my mother worked in a factory. And she always told me, you're going to school. You will not work in a factory. And I just remembered those words, and I just thought teachers were just super. And Mrs. Graffel, she always smelled good. She always was so well dressed. And she had a full-length mink coat. I had never seen one before. And I always said, when I grow up, I'm going to have one. And my son gave me one a couple of years ago. I've worn it twice, and it's in the closet. But it's interesting, the little things that you remember. You know.
And I guess in Atlanta, it's kind of difficult to wear mink because it's warm most of the time.
Well, normally I go home every Christmas. So it's still cold up there and snowy at Christmas time. So.
Now, now talking about New York, I know New York, I don't know how it was then, but now it's a very busy city. Of course, I think the image is you can always find a siren going, you know, which means probably trouble is about. Was it like that, or was there a lot of distractions? Was it hard for you to concentrate on your education as a youth? And also, you say you're the only one that made it to school or higher education. What happened to some of your siblings?
Well, alcoholism, dead at 35. Drugs at that time, heroin was very prevalent in the community. Although New York has changed a great deal since I was growing up. We could still walk the street at 12 o'clock midnight and not be afraid somebody was going to mug you. In fact, New York was a city of neighborhoods. And the lady down the street, she could whack you one if your mama wasn't around and she caught you doing something. Of course, you wouldn't do that now, but it was a city of neighborhoods. And so in my neighborhood, I was safe, I was loved. If I was hungry, I could go to anybody's house and eat just about. So it's totally different from the New York you see today.
And that leads me to my next question. And that is, and you're absolutely correct. Back in the day, I remember, you know, when we did something wrong, you know, Miss Clara next door, you know, she'd make sure, Ma said, you know, you're going to get 2 whoopings. You know, Miss Clara going to get you, and I'm going to get you when you get home. And the same thing when we were in school. Teachers were like segregate parents. You know, we always knew that we could get some love from the teacher. They would encourage us. My question to you is, has that relationship been hindered in reference to the policies that have been implemented over the years? And I mean that in reference to, like, for example, there was a respect back in the day. You know, Mr. Anderson, just like you, in the 3rd grade, I was in the 4th grade, and Mr. Anderson, I know I had done something inappropriate, and he had me in front of the classroom. I was smart, see. I knew he was going to get us because, you know, I would wear 2 pair of pants because I know he was going to make, you know, put that paddle on me. But then he was smarter because he'd make me drop one, see, in front of the class, mind you. That was kind of embarrassing. But he taught me something. He said, don't panic, because the more I panicked, the more danger I got into. But he cared for me. So I think things have changed. The removal of corporate punishment, that's just me. It kept me in check. I don't know where you are with that. The prayer in the classroom, but now the relationship, has it changed between teacher and student? And if it has changed, what do you believe is going to be the cure for the problems of today?
Well, I can only speak for myself. The relationship hasn't changed. I am their mama.
Okay.
And even around my school, when I talk, I say my children.
Okay.
And they have to ask me, do you mean your biological? Or no,
Yes.
I'm talking about my students. They're my children. And they know this. They know they can come to me with any problem. If they're hungry, they know I'm going to feed them. If they need me to come in early to tutor or stay late to tutor, they also know that at the end of the day, if Ms. Reddic said that she's going to talk to your mother, when she gets home and while dinner's cooking on the stove, she sits on the couch with the telephone and I will talk to your mother.
Okay.
And they know I'm there for them. To give an example, I have asthma,
Yes.
which I developed in the last couple of years.
Okay.
And I had an attack last Tuesday. I had to stay home. On Wednesday, when I hit the door, those kids, now we're talking 8th graders now.
Okay.
They saw me, they ran, they hugged me. Are you okay? I prayed for you.
Wow.
What can we do? I said, well, I don't have much breath today, so I really can't do a lot of talking at people that don't know how to behave. Okay. But that was wonderful.
Okay.
They care about me because they know I care about them.
Wow. Wow.
And some of the younger teachers may not understand that yet,
Yes.
but if you hold on, it does happen. 2 young ladies that I taught are now teachers, certified teachers in the school that I teach in.
Okay.
I know of a 3rd who will tell you they became teachers because of me.
Oh, that's awesome.
And there's no greater joy. That's wonderful, you know. But they know. My kids know.
They know.
Oh, they know.
And see, you're one of the warriors. I mean, in other words, you've been in the system a very long time. Do you believe that there is a lack of warriors, even in the young teachers, who have the compassion that you have for the student? And 2, do you believe the students know when the teacher does not care?
Oh, yes. Oh, certainly. Of course they do. And they tell me, she doesn't like children. And see, I tell parents and I tell children, we have a company in Conyers called Sweetheart Plastic.
Yes.
I don't work for Sweetheart. If I did, and I made plastic cups, and if I broke one or made one incorrectly, I could throw it away.
Right.
I could never do that with a child. I can't.
Okay.
Anything I do to a child is permanent. So I can make that a negative experience or a positive.
Yes.
I choose to make it a positive because that's what I had in my life. And I'm just egotistical enough to want them to like me.
Okay.
Now, does that mean that my classroom is a shambles? I have absolute control.
Okay.
You can have absolute control, and in my classroom, it's based on mutual respect.
Okay. Okay.
On the first day of school, I teach 5 classes a day. I have each class sit and listen to me. And I tell them 2 things you won't do to me, and I promise you I won't do to you. You won't smart mouth me, call me out of my name, or yell at me.
Yes.
And I won't do it to you. The second thing is, don't lie. If Ms. Reddic said you were talking, it's because Ms. Reddic saw you for herself.
Okay.
Students are not allowed to tell on each other about little things.
Yes.
Like she's talking, because when you're talking, you're not going to tell me. When you're chewing gum, you're not going to tell me, but you want to tell on your neighbor. And if I tell you is because I've seen it myself with the
Okay.
2 eyes that God gave me and the 2 more that I bought.
Yes.
And they
How
know
about
that, and they
Exactly.
respect that. They go,
Okay.
the 4 eyes got you, you know, and that's it.
Okay.
And based on that mutual respect.
Okay.
And I tell them, I could make a better living doing a lot of things.
Yes.
I choose to be a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
Okay.
I teach 8th grade, and when I tell people, they go, oh my God, oh, I feel sorry for you.
Yes.
I don't have any of those problems.
Right.
None.
Right.
My biggest problem, believe it or not, in my classroom, 2 things. Chewing gum, and boy, pull your pants up.
Okay, I feel that because they do wear pretty low these days.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Now, Ms. Reddic, keeping it real, I know I get the opportunity to go school to school pretty frequently as a substitute teacher because I do that periodically. And I know how kids are so influenced by each other. And I know you have discipline in your classroom. But there's something about when kids get among each other. And then so many of our young people in their environment, you know, it doesn't have the type of structure that you provide in your classroom. So their ability, one, to follow instructions, to accept criticism, to respect authority, to not limit tests, to have proper conversation skills, to do the things that are necessary, like being honest. How do we confine and how do we bring out the honesty in a child? And one, two, that honesty that you implement in the classroom, do we expect them to take that back to the neighborhood, back to the lunchroom where all the kids who are acting out are behaving? What do you think can be done to make your classroom more of a reality to their lives than their outside world versus inside your classroom?
Well, first of all, to be in Ms. Reddick's class is an honor. Everybody doesn't get that.
Okay, very
And
good.
Ms. Reddick makes you aware of that.
Yes,
You're my student. When you go out, you represent me.
yes.
And I represent you. When someone comes and say, is Johnny in your, yes, he is. So we represent each other.
Okay.
I try to teach a whole person. I try to help students learn the ABCs and the reading and whatever they have to learn. But I'm also concerned with them becoming a good citizen.
Okay.
I work the polls. Every time there's an election,
Yes.
they know my school system knows I'm going to be absent.
Okay.
I come back and I share that. I tell them what it is, what it means to vote. What does voting mean? It gives you the voice. I tell them how the polls are set up and the new machines. I tell them, I share that experience with them, hoping, and I tell them, this is your community.
Yes.
Some of you, I may have the next president sitting here, or the
True.
next governor
That
or
is
mayor.
True. That is true.
But if not, I'm certainly going to have a resident
Yes.
of a community
Yes.
that you need to be involved in.
Yes.
I have, at my church, I'm in charge of the Meal on Wheels program.
Okay.
And I told them about that. As a result of that, they got all fired up. Well, we want to donate something to the homeless.
Okay, very good.
So we have a ministry in Newton County called Rainbow Covenant. We donated 6 turkeys last year or the year before to help feed the homeless
Yes.
on Thanksgiving.
Okay.
I shared with them the experience of what was going on in Afghanistan. And I said, look at how rich we are.
Wow.
They brought in books, pencils, papers, crayons. We sent boxes
Yes.
overseas for those children to use in the school, hoping to show them compassion. You know, yeah, I can care about my brother because my brother cares about me. And even if he doesn't, I'm going to try and do what's the good and right thing.
Absolutely.
There's so many areas of our personal lives that are good and good to share.
Yes.
I tell my kids, and they will tell you, you can ask me anything except how old I am.
Okay.
And the answer to that is old as dirt, and that's all you need to know. But I honestly believe that a teacher should never tell a child, I don't know.
Absolutely.
Because the answer is written somewhere.
True.
And so if you personally don't know the answer, but I can guide you to find the answer, whether it's
Right.
in school or out school. And nowadays, working with the community, with the businesses in the community, this is something we invite,
Yes.
because most schools have a partner in education in business. So we are involved in the community, and we use that as classroom discussion. We talk about and come up with ways of how can we help
Right.
with this problem in the
Right.
community.
Right.
My kids, I tell them, you are who you are 24/7. So if you can act right in my class, then you can next
Absolutely.
door in math and across the hall in
Absolutely.
science, in the lunchroom.
That's right.
I even make them clean up. We have
Awesome.
people who clean the cafeteria after each lunch break.
Yes.
Well, I think that children should learn to pick up after themselves.
Yes.
And
Yes,
I
yes.
inspect their table.
Awesome.
Walk up and down the table. Mm-mm. You put that there.
Right.
It's not that I'm trying to make the job easier for the custodian, but I'm trying to teach that child
Responsibility.
something.
Absolutely. Let me ask you this, because you're absolutely correct. I can even feel kind of back the feeling of being back in the day, being in a classroom with a teacher that really, really cared, and bringing education in one's personal life and one's community into the classroom, because apparently the education process does not begin and end just in the room, is outside as well. But my next question, because for some reason I'm apt to believe that there is a lack of respect at this point between student and teacher and student. And I'm apt to believe, too, that the aura of a professional teacher has been tainted by a number of things. Now, I personally, as I go to school, I try to present myself professionally, because I want the student to see me and to have something to admire as I try to share with them what I understand. But I see some teachers in flip-flops, and I see some teachers in T-shirts, and I'm talking about teachers that teach in English. They look like the persons that were out there on the street as they rode the bus. And now when they get in the car, all due respect, we're not talking about all teachers. This is a very small few, but there's an aura that was once in place, which is the ultimate of respect and admiration. But for some reason, it has been taunted. Tell me, what do you believe the concerns are in that arena? What are some of the other areas in which the relationship and respect for teachers has been changed?
Well, I think the loss of some of the respect is due to the relaxation
Okay.
of society. You know, we used to respect the president. Who would ever say that the president was a liar? I mean, that's unheard of in my day. I think that we as teachers have become more human to the children. But by the same token, I am always your teacher. I am not your friend. I am a friendly teacher. I always look like a teacher.
Yes.
You can never look at me and say, is that a student or a teacher? And I had a principal who said that in a faculty meeting. I want to be able to tell my teachers from my students, because that was a problem. And I think that that's important. It's image. And as I said, watching Mrs. Graffel, that was the first thing that attracted me to her, the fact that she always looked so well groomed. And I think being a teacher means something. I think that, I'm not saying that you have to wear double-breasted suits every day, whatever. But there's a way of dressing, I think, that says, I'm a professional.
Yes.
If we want to be respected as professionals, then that's what we have to present ourselves as in all ways.
Okay.
I think that we need to remember every parent loves their child.
Yes.
I always tell parents, I want for your child exactly what I wanted for my two personal children. I wanted them to get a good education. I wanted them to grow up and be successful, and they both are. I wanted them to be happy, as whatever that word means in this society. But I wanted them to be good people too.
Yes.
And I think they're very good people, not selfish, they're very giving, they're very caring, they're all around people. And you've got, as a teacher, an opportunity to touch human lives. There are children, and I'm now teaching second generations of children. They will remember me.
Yes.
Because hopefully I brought something good into their lives and presented myself as a professional, but as a friendly teacher, trying my best to teach them good in all things.
Awesome.
And I think that we need to go back and remember, would you go to a doctor who came in T-shirts and I mean, you know, image?
I know, right? True.
You know, minister.
True.
Although my minister, he wears T-shirts and tennis shoes when he's, you know, on his days off and whatever. Once in a while, even in pulpit on a casual day.
Yes.
There's no way I would want to go to a dentist who came in looking like he just left the football field or something.
Exactly.
That's fine. Leave the football field, go home, put on something to say I'm a dentist.
Exactly.
So it's a lot about image. Some of it has come about because of change in policy, but that's always, you're always going to have politics and everything.
Yeah, that is so very true. Now, we're running out of time. This is a very potent question. I'm going to skip a few to get to this one.
Okay.
And that is, as part of time, a couple of them together. Now, as I go to school, Ms. Reddic, I go to elementary school. I go to middle school. I go to senior high school. But it appears that something is being lost along the way. I love going to elementary school because the kids' antennas are very high. Their eyes are very bright. Their questions are forever coming. They're excited about learning. By encouraging them, you get more from them. But when I get to junior high school, I find out that there are less attentiveness. High school, they know all the answers. My question is, because it is so significant, what does it mean, and this is in 1 minute, I know it's hard to do, what does it mean to you, the concept, no child left behind?
I was really hoping you wouldn't ask me that, but here goes.
Yes.
I think No Child Left Behind is a politically motivated program to undo public education in this country. It makes no sense to me. Children who come to this country, we will be testing April 26th to the 30th. If a child comes to my school from Mexico on the 25th, I've got to test that child. I have to test special ed kids who wear diapers, who can't even talk. So it just doesn't make sense.
Right.
President Bush needs to ask some teachers how to fix it.
Awesome. And I know that you can go on and on elaborating. And I just want to say to all of my viewing audience that it's going to take a lot of work for us to come together as a society and give our children exactly what they need. Now, we have to go back to the old school, and that is caring for the kids, loving the kids, protecting the kids, and giving them everything that they need. I thank you. We must conclude this experience. Until next time, I'd like to let you know it is nothing more and it is nothing less but God's grace in motion. So please continue to pray for grace in motion. Until next time, we love you. Mrs. Reddic, thank you so much.
Thank you for asking me.